Creepy AI voices hijack calls to Iran amid Israel-Iran war. A shocking, eerie robocall phenomenon explained. In an already fragile time for Iranians around the world, a new and unnerving phenomenon has emerged, one that is equal parts technological mystery and psychological warfare. For many members of the Iranian diaspora, a simple phone call home has turned into a chilling encounter with an artificial voice that feels almost too lifelike, yet deeply wrong. It began quietly, just a few people reporting something odd. They would dial their relatives in Tehran, Isfahan, or Shiraz, and instead of hearing a familiar voice or even a ringtone, they were met with something far stranger, a robotic, stuttering voice on the other end of the line. "Allo? Allo? Who is calling? I can't heard you. I'm Alicia. Do you remember me?" One such voice asked, repeating itself in a cold, detached manner that sent shivers down spines. At times, the voice didn't even attempt a conversation, but launched into disjointed, dreamlike monologues. "Thank you for taking the time to listen. Life is full of unexpected surprises." One woman described it as a deeply physical reaction. "It wasn't just unsettling. I felt something run through me. I was expecting my mom's voice, her warmth, and instead I heard something that sounded human but wasn't. I can feel it in my body even now," she said, still shaken days after the incident. Though the calls seem random, a pattern is emerging. Many who tried to contact loved ones in Iran following the latest Israeli airstrikes found themselves unable to connect. Instead of the voice of their mother, father, or brother, a synthetic stranger answered. The language was often broken. Farsi sometimes poorly translated into English, other times English distorted into nonsense. If the caller tries to talk to it, the voice just continues with its message. The effect was disorienting, creepy, like something out of a dystopian novel that had slipped quietly into the real world. Not all Iranians abroad experienced the robotic voice. Some report that when they call their family, the phone rings endlessly, even though their loved ones are present and waiting on the other end. There have been at least 9 verified cases, mostly among Iranian expatriates in the United States, United Kingdom, and Germany. Not everyone has experienced the robotic voice. Some calls still go through. But for those who have heard it, the experience has left a lingering fear. Some now hesitate to call again. No one has yet taken responsibility, but experts in telecommunications believe the calls are being rerouted by a state-controlled system, most likely by the Iranian government itself. The goal seems clear: intercept international calls during a time of crisis, replacing real conversations with something fake, confusing, and deeply disturbing. Some analysts speculate this could be part of a broader effort to control narratives and prevent panic, especially after the government instituted a near-total internet blackout following Israeli strikes on Iranian territory. Still, others have floated a more shadowy theory, that perhaps this is a foreign psychological operation, designed to undermine the Iranian regime by sowing paranoia within its own people. Could Israel be behind it, or some third actor? The ambiguity itself fuels the fear. To cope, some Iranians have found creative workarounds. One man living in the UK routes his calls through a friend on the Iran-Turkey border who uses dual SIM cards, one Turkish, one Iranian, to avoid the disrupted channels. A few have even risked using smuggled Starlink satellite devices to reconnect with loved ones, despite the heavy penalties and surveillance imposed by the Iranian authorities. But no workaround can fully undo the psychological damage done. The robotic voice is not just an annoyance or a technical glitch. It's a haunting presence, a ghost in the machine. It speaks with a cadence that mimics life, but carries none of its soul. It doesn't yell, threaten, or insult. It simply exists wrongly, and that somehow is worse. In a nation where communication is already fragile, where truth is contested and connection is precious, this eerie intrusion feels personal. It violates not only privacy, but reality itself. And for now, it continues. An invisible hand reaching across wires, intercepting love and replacing it with a voice that chills the bones. Several individuals, speaking to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity, recounted their unsettling encounters with the robotic voices. One woman in New York described being deeply disturbed when, instead of her mother's voice, she was met with the same eerie AI message. She described the experience as nothing short of psychological warfare. Hearing an artificial voice when you're expecting your mom, it's one of the scariest things I've ever experienced, she said. I could feel it in my body. Meanwhile, some callers never hear a voice at all. The phone simply rings endlessly without answer. According to the Associated Press, Colin Crowell, former vice president for global policy at Twitter, suggested the calls may be deliberately rerouted to a default messaging system to prevent them from being completed. Amir Rashidi, an Iranian cybersecurity expert based in the US, added that the Iranian government seems to be taking these steps in an effort to block potential cyber intrusions. What lingered after the calls was a quiet, inescapable helplessness. The calls, like ghosts, may fade, but those who heard them will not soon forget. As tensions escalate, these disturbing AI calls deepen fear and isolation among Iranians abroad, turning a simple phone call into a chilling reminder of control, disconnection, and digital manipulation.